There are bills sitting on your kitchen table right now that you may have already stopped legally owing. Not next year, not if some bill passes. Right now, because the day you turned 65, a whole set of rules quietly changed for Vietnam-era veterans, and costs you've been paying without question became reduced, waived, or erased entirely. And here's the part that should make every one of us angry. Nobody mails you a notice. There is no letter. There is no phone call. The VA does not knock on your door and say, "Sir, you've been overpaying for 4 years." The money just keeps leaving your account month after month because you never knew to ask. By the end of this video, you're going to know exactly what to ask for, exactly who to ask, and the one benefit almost nobody claims that can wipe out the single largest bill most veterans face in their 70s and 80s. Let me be straight with you about why this matters right now. The average Vietnam-era veteran is in his mid to late 70s today. That means the window for a lot of these programs isn't theoretical anymore. It's closing. Every month you wait is a month of payments you don't get back because most of these benefits do not pay retroactively. They start the day you file. Everything I'm about to tell you comes from VA regulations, from the PACT Act, from Medicare rules, and from state statutes, not from a rumor somebody heard at the VFW. I'm going to walk you through this in order from the costs that are easiest to eliminate to the one that's worth the most money. And I'm saving the biggest one for the end because, frankly, it's the one that's most often missed. Stay with me, because the last one is the difference between spending down everything you built and keeping it. Let's start with the bill most Vietnam veterans are still paying, that they may not owe at all: VA healthcare copays. Right now, if you're enrolled in VA healthcare, you may be getting billed for primary care visits, specialty visits, and outpatient procedures. Here's what most veterans don't realize. If you have a service-connected disability rating of 50% or higher, you owe nothing. Not a reduced copay, nothing. No copay for outpatient care. No copay for outpatient care. No copay for medications. Zero. The same is true if you're rated as unemployable, if you're a former prisoner of war, a Purple Heart recipient, or if the VA has classified you as catastrophically disabled. And even if your rating is lower than 50%, you never owe a copay for treatment of the condition that's actually service-connected. If your knees are rated at 20%, every appointment for those knees should be free. So the question becomes, why are so many Vietnam veterans sitting at 30%, or 10%, or no rating at all? And this is where I need you to really listen, because the ground shifted underneath this in the last few years, and a lot of men never got the word. The PACT Act expanded the Agent Orange presumptive list, and it added 2 conditions that hit Vietnam veterans harder than almost anything else: high blood pressure, hypertension, and a blood condition called NEGS. Think about that for a second. Hypertension. How many men who served in Vietnam are on blood pressure medication right now? Most of them. And for years, that condition was not presumptive, which means claims got denied. If you were denied before, that denial was decided under the old rules. It does not bind you today. The law also expanded where you had to serve. It's no longer just boots in Vietnam. Certain Thailand military bases, Laos, specific provinces in Cambodia, Guam, American Samoa, and Johnston Atoll are now recognized. If you loaded aircraft in Thailand, and you've been telling yourself for 50 years that you didn't really qualify because you never set foot in country, you may have been wrong this entire time. And every point of disability rating you gain doesn't just add a monthly check. It changes your priority group. And when you cross that 50% line, your copays stop existing. Let me hit you with a number before we move on, because I want this to land. Hearing loss and tinnitus are the most commonly service-connected disabilities in this country, and Vietnam-era veterans are the largest single group living with them. Now here's the part that matters financially. Medicare does not cover hearing aids. Medicare will pay for a hospital stay, but will not buy you a pair of hearing aids that cost several $1,000s out of pocket. The VA will, if you're enrolled and eligible. The VA provides hearing aids, fittings, batteries, and repairs. Same story with eyeglasses in many cases. Veterans are walking around straining to hear their grandchildren or paying thousands at a retail hearing center while sitting on an entitlement they already earned in 1969. Now let's talk about the bills that changed specifically. Because of the number 65, the first one is Medicare Part A, hospital insurance. If you worked and paid into Social Security for roughly 10 years, which nearly every veteran of that era did, your Part A premium is zero for the rest of your life. You stop owing it entirely. That one is mostly automatic. But here's the trap right beside it. And I want to warn you because this one costs people real money. Part B, the doctor coverage, is not free, and VA healthcare does not count as creditable coverage for Part B purposes. That means if you skipped Part B because you figured the VA had you covered, you can be charged a late enrollment penalty, and that penalty can follow you permanently. Now, if your income is limited, there are Medicare savings programs. They go by names like QMB and SLMB, and they will pay your Part B premium for you. That's over $180 a month, right back into your pocket. Almost nobody applies. You apply through your state Medicaid office, not the VA, which is exactly why so many veterans fall through the crack between two agencies that don't talk to each other. Here's another one that turns on at 65 in a lot of places: property taxes. Property tax relief is a state matter, so it varies, but many states have exemptions specifically for older veterans with disability ratings, and several of them use 65 as the trigger. Florida, for example, gives comma-disabled veterans aged 65 and older a discount on their property taxes equal to their disability percentage. 60% rated means 60% off. Texas eliminates property taxes entirely for veterans rated 100%. Other states offer flat exemptions, frozen assessments, or reductions that stack with senior exemptions. This is not automatic anywhere. You have to walk into your county tax assessor's office with your VA rating letter and file. And if you don't file, they will happily keep cashing your check. While we're on things you stop paying, veterans now get free lifetime entrance to national parks. Many states waive or discount hunting and fishing licenses, vehicle registration fees, and toll transponders for disabled veterans. Individually, these are small. Together, over 20 years of retirement. They're not small at all. And if you were rated 100% permanent and total, and you're still carrying federal student loans, maybe from a degree you went back for, maybe loans you co-signed, total and permanent disability discharge exists. And the Department of Education runs a data match with the VA to identify eligible veterans. Now I want you to stay with me, because everything I've said so far is worth real money. But it's not the big one. The big one is the benefit that Vietnam-era veterans qualify for specifically because of their age. That has nothing to do with a disability rating, and that most of you have never had explained to you. It's the one that can cover the cost of long-term care. Let me tell you about it. It's called the Veterans Pension, not disability compensation pension. These are two different programs, and people mix them up constantly. Disability compensation is for injuries connected to your service. Pension is different. Pension is for wartime veterans with limited income. And here is the piece almost nobody knows. Normally, you'd have to prove you're permanently and totally disabled to qualify. But once you turn 65, you don't have to prove disability at all. Age alone satisfies that requirement. You need to have served at least 90 days of active duty with at least 1 day during a recognized wartime period, and the Vietnam era is a recognized wartime period. And the Vietnam era is a recognized wartime period. For most veterans, that's August 1964 through May 1975, and it reaches back to 1961 for those who served in country. You did not have to see combat. You did not have to be wounded. You had to be in uniform. Then there's the part that changes lives. On top of the base pension, there are two increases: housebound and aid and attendance. Aid and attendance is for veterans who need help with the ordinary business of daily living: bathing, dressing, eating, getting safely out of bed, or who are in a nursing home, or who have severe vision loss. That's a substantial monthly increase, and it exists precisely because the government understood that a wartime veteran shouldn't be bankrupted by the cost of being cared for. Assisted living in this country routinely runs several $1,000s a month. Nursing care runs more. Families sell the house, they drain the savings, the veteran spent 40 years building, and a large share of those families never once heard the words aid and attendance because nobody at the facility mentioned it and nobody at the VA called. There are income and net worth limits, and there's a look-back period on transferred assets. So this is one to get right the first time. But the surviving spouse of a wartime veteran can qualify too, through survivor's pension, and that is a lifeline a lot of widows never learn about until it's too late. So let's bring this home. Your VA copays can disappear entirely at a 50% rating, and the PACT Act reopened the door for hypertension and for service outside Vietnam itself. Hearing aids that Medicare refuses to cover are provided by the VA. Medicare Part A stops costing you anything at 65, and Medicare savings programs can cover your Part B premium if your income is limited. Property taxes are reduced or eliminated in many states once you're 65 with a rating, but only if you file at the county. And the veteran's pension with aid and attendance is available to wartime veterans at 65 based on age alone. And it is the single most overlooked protection against long-term care costs in the entire system. Nobody is going to mail you any of this. That's not cynicism, it's just how the machinery works. These are all opt-in programs, and the burden is on you. But you don't have to do it alone, and you should never pay anyone a fee to file a claim. Find an accredited Veterans Service Officer through your county Veterans Office, the VFW, the American Legion, or DAV. They are free. That's the whole job. Now I want to hear from you. In the comments, tell me one thing. Which of these did you already know about, and which one did nobody ever tell you? If you were denied a claim before the PACT Act, say so. Because somebody else reading that comment is going to realize their denial doesn't hold anymore either. That comment section has helped more veterans than this video ever will on its own. Say your piece. Somebody needs to hear it.